Hello, Internet. My name is Chamomile.
And I'm Chamomile's conscience. It's been a
Oh,
while, hasn't it, again, Chamomile?
yeah, no, I thought I had gotten rid of you.
Well, I mean, ever since, you may have been involved in the death of Requiem and you imprisoned him in that Sora action figure, poor innocent Requiem, who has ever done anything to harm anyone ever,
Riku!
I just had to come back and torment you over doing that.
Yes.
Are you sure you're my conscience? I don't think my conscience is this gullible.
Requiem has never harmed another living soul, particularly not you. He's done nothing but good for you, giving you all those wonderful occult gifts.
Surrender it to the darkness. Become
I,
darkness
I mean, pretty
itself.
much the only time one of those occult gifts has gone well for me is when I used one of them to entrap his soul.
And now you can't find his soul, so you should at least feel guilty about that.
I mean, I guess it is on me for inviting twins onto the show, but, like, how was I supposed to know she was going to release the soul of my co-host, which was trapped in a $100 figurine, by the way?
Yeah, what happened to that figurine?
Well, I mean, the head is broken off now, so, like, it's there. So, you know, I do have twin soul trapped now. I don't know what to do with it.
I mean, weren't you going to use it as a co-host?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if she's not talking to me or if it just didn't work right, but I haven't been able to get it. I mean, you know, I was talking to her about a project I was working on the other day. And, like, you know, she had some good ideas, but then she stopped responding. And I don't know, I think the statue may have absorbed her soul. Like, you know, these needful things items frequently come with unforeseen consequences sometimes, so, you know, of some kind, rather. So consuming the soul of the person entrapped within seems like a thing it would do.
I mean, that is fair.
It's only been like a week.
I mean, it seems like you definitely have a guilty conscience and you're torturing yourself by fighting this battle like 5 or 6 times, again and again.
Yeah, well, you know, I am going into this battle again at the exact same level as before because absolutely no gameplay has taken place while the camera was off.
You would never.
Yeah, no, I have just gotten my strategy of running up to Maleficent's head, jumping, and then smacking her a lot, while basically ignoring all of her tells, is just a significant improvement over my previous strategy, which was doing that, but with less gusto. And it's funny, because I went into this thinking, and I even hinted at it a couple of times, that it would be the next battle that we would end up doing over and over and over again. Which, I mean, I guess we're not out of those woods yet.
It'll be fine.
How ironic. She was just another puppet after all.
As opposed to you.
The Heartless were using Maleficent from the beginning. She failed to notice the darkness in her heart eating away at her.
I mean, it seems like that's not what happened. Like, you did something magical with your Keyblade to her.
Yeah, like, at best, it seems like, you know, she might have been dumb enough to accept a bargain with you that she shouldn't have. Which
Which, ironic, considering Maleficent.
Yeah, I mean, I do kind of feel like maybe I shouldn't be throwing stones in that regard. It does kind of bug me that the door to the final boss just kind of appears. The final boss, I should say, of this world. We are not quite that close to the end, although we are pretty close to the end.
So since the final boss is Mickey, I guess that the penultimate boss is going to be Minnie, right?
The mini-boss fight does not actually appear until Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oh.
Yeah. She was planned for Kingdom Hearts 1, but they had to cut her at the last minute because there wasn't enough development time.
Oh, so the final boss, the penultimate boss, the final boss of this world is Goofy and Donald turn on you because they're ultimately loyal to Mickey.
Well, that happens like in the next, the next world is like the confrontation with Mickey. So that does happen,
right.
but it's not until the, yeah.
Okay.
We have to finish killing all of our other friends first.
I mean, she looks pretty dead.
It's no use. That girl has lost her heart. She cannot wake up.
What? You're not Riku.
The keyhole cannot be completed so long as the last princess of heart still sleeps.
The princess? Kairi's a princess?
I can marry her and become Prince
Without her
Consort?
power, the keyhole will remain incomplete.
How long did it take you to figure out Kairi was a princess?
Whoever you are,
While
let
barely
Riku
paying
go.
attention?
Give him back his heart.
I mean, I think it was at least back in, like,
Princess back her heart.
Agrabah. Potentially before that.
By the way, the delivery on that line, Sora says, whoever you are, give Riku back his heart. And then Riku's response is, but first, you must give the princess back her heart. The emphasis is on entirely the wrong word there. It's like he didn't even read the previous line.
I know.
Like,
Sora
was he
was
not
Kairi
giving
this
Sora's
whole
half of this
time?
conversation?
Tell me, who are you?
It is I,
I'm Kairi.
Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness.
This is a fairly straightforward reveal that will be butchered by retcons.
Also, it means nothing to me because we haven't been reading the Ansem's reports.
I shall release you now, princess. Complete the keyhole with your power.
I mean, Ansem, in this game, again, ignoring retcons, is basically just a mad scientist who went all Frankenstein, investigating the Heartless.
Forget it. There's no way you're taking Kairi's heart.
Alright, now, this battle requires a little bit of concentration, so you can just freestyle for the next 5 minutes.
Okay, okay. Well, first of all, everything in that conversation previously sounded like some sort of innuendo. Like, there was talked about keyholes and Kairi being inside Sora, and, like, it took all my intellectual willpower to resist commenting upon it. And I guess I failed because I'm now commenting upon it. I know we said no more Freudianism. But you can't talk about keyholes that much and not bring Freud into it. Like, is Freud's ghost going to be the final battle in this? Is that what's going to happen? He's going to walk out and be like, oh, I see. You've yet to understand the meaning of the keyhole. Also, I feel like in a game aimed at 12-year-olds, expecting them to, like, read the Ansem's reports and not just ignore them the way we did is kind of, unlikely. Like, I think a lot of them would just... Although, like, the type of kid who plays an RPG is sort of the type to meticulously read all the backstory. So maybe that's a perfectly reasonable idea. When I was a kid playing the JRPGs, I really was only focused on the plot. I would try to ignore the combat as much as possible. So I was constantly being underleveled because I would retreat from the turn-based battles 90% of the time and then get frustrated when I got to a part where I couldn't get past it because I was underleveled because I was not doing any of the battles. You seem to be doing pretty well for something that takes so much concentration. Like, he's already down to his last health bar. Unless this is like a transformation battle, and you're gonna deplete that health bar, and then he's gonna turn into something else. Also, I just noticed that Goofy and Donald are not participating, presumably because this is the point that they betrayed you and returned to Mickey. Don't correct me on that after the battle. I'm just gonna assume it regardless. Oh man. Like, we've made fun of this game, but I do feel like it basically does what you want out of this game. Like, it's given you like a kind of like tour de force of Disney worlds with a slight anime patina. It has been very like toned down mechanically. Like, for an RPG, like, there's not a lot of mechanical stuff you can tinker with, but also like it's a game for 12-year-olds, so that is appropriate. Our viewers haven't seen the Jade Empire playthrough, but like that was a thing in Jade Empire that was very pared down, but that was a game for adults. And Chamomile has told me off mic that the combat in this is significantly more in-depth and enjoyable than in Jade Empire. Can I stop talking?
Yes.
Oh, thank God.
But yeah, partly because I'm like 3 or 4 levels over, and also partly because I focused on the fight there so I could get it in one. But yeah, that is considerably easier than when I was 12. That shouldn't be necessary. We won't be as over-leveled because we're not going to do the Hades Cup probably, unless we have to, in which case we might. But, by the way, Goofy and Donald were visibly chucked out of the arena by evil Riku there.
Oh. But why could they have not gotten up?
There is a force field thing, just an arbitrary boss fight force field that Goofy actually gets knocked out by, because he's the last one in, so Riku puts it up as he's approaching, and he runs face first into it.
You know I'm only ever like 70% paying attention to what's happening.
I know, but I feel like I mean, that happened to both Goofy and Donald. It was like a big moment for Donald. I mean, not a big moment, but I mean, I feel like 70% should have
So
caught
he's
it.
putting the key inside of himself?
Yes. So Kairi's heart has been within him the entire time. You recall when she hadn't had her morning coffee and we absorbed her ghost?
Wait, so I was right?
Yeah, no, that was an echo of the entirety of Kairi's heart, dark side included.
Oh my God.
Yep. See, I told you were like 70% correct on this. But yeah, so in order to revive Kairi, Sora unlocked his heart with the evil Keyblade.
Wait. Was I Xehanort this whole time?
I mean, you're not Sora, so by default. I have no idea how Sora got the other 6 Princesses of Heart inside him.
So now
Maybe
we
they
play
were
as
in the
Kairi for
Keyblade?
this. So now I assume that Kairi is the protagonist of the rest of the game and the rest of the series.
I mean, that would be much cooler than what actually happens, but no. Because, like, the series after this game does, in fact, go in a fairly tragic direction. I like it for that. So having the original protagonist be, like, a sacrifice would have fit the tone of future games. Having Kairi do anything at all besides be kidnapped would have been a marked improvement. Also, here in this game, it's kind of, you know, the implication here is that this is what older Riku would look like. In later games, it will become clear that he and Ansem just happen to look almost exactly the same.
You won't use me for this.
Right? Like, Riku has to pop out his little heart
You've got to
image
run.
here.
The Heartless are coming.
So, that seems like it is supposed to be a mutated, aged-up Riku body there that Ansem is now in total control over. Except that we will later learn that no, that's just what he looks like.
Is that Heartless Sora?
That Heartless is Sora. Because he unlocked his heart with the evil darkness keyblade.
What? But he didn't turn into a cool dragon. He turned into a very basic.
Like
Heartless.
The most trash fodder of trash fodder Heartless. I wish we could at least be a soldier. Those guys look awesome.
He is adorable though. Like he does stay this way for the rest of the series, right?
Not entirely. But he does actually get Heartless forms in the rest of the series.
There were definitely Heartless plushies at Hot Topic, weren't there?
I mean, I never went into that store, but if there weren't, I would be deeply shocked. I was never really into the whole emo thing when I was in middle school or high school. Where the hell am I going? Okay, I think I remember the way now. Yeah, I was never into the emo thing when I was in middle school or high school, and when I was, when I was past high school, I was broke, so there was no point going to Hot Topic because there was nothing for me to buy in there.
That's fair.
Okay, I can't use the lifts anymore.
Is Hot Topic still a thing?
I think so. It's basically just a nerd shop.
Well, where do the goth equivalent now? Where do they go to shop now?
I don't even know who they are, because
It's the
I know
e-girls, the e-girls and the e-boys.
Well, but didn't Scene Girls sort of have their moment 5 years ago at this point? Are they still going?
Scene is over, but now you have e-girls and e-boys, which, from what I can tell, is a very toned down form of emo that is very focused on YouTube videos. Any Zoomers listening, don't you dare try to correct us.
You say us. My position here is just that I don't have a goddamn clue.
Send all complaints to Chamomile. Chamomile writes the scripts for these things. I just say what he tells me to say.
Okay, I can activate that one, which is good, because otherwise I'd be trapped down here.
I'm actually just a voice that Chamomile is doing. That's the big reveal.
I have exactly 2 voices, which is why every character besides me has been in the Requiem voice.
See, it goes, first you had, in the 40s, you have the biker subculture that is sort of branches off of military subculture after World War II. Then out of that, you sort of get the punk, which is sort of this working class evolution out of biker subculture. Then you get goth, which if you look at the earliest goth, they look like punk, and the earliest goth music sounds like punk. Then out of goth, you get emo. Out of emo, you get scene, and scene has kind of faded more than any of these other subcultures, which I think is because they didn't really have a strong musical genre attached to them. So they aren't making the same cultural impact the way the others are. And then out of scene, you get the e-girl and e-boy, who I think will have a stronger cultural impact just because of the emphasis on the internet videos, whereas scene didn't really have anything, and the little bit of scene music you get is sort of held up as being really, really, really bad, like Broken Side.
I haven't even heard of that.
It's really, really bad. Which is why, of those like 5 or 6 subcultures, scene has had sort of like the least amount of cultural impact. Because even as like the fashion fades, the music, even as it becomes less popular, will still have a certain amount of cultural cachet.
Thank you. Sora!
Like, if you saw like a kid dressed kind of like morbid, like if you saw an e-girl or an e-boy and you called them a goth, they would understand what you were saying, and it would be basically accurate. You know?
Right.
I'm not leaving without Val
Like, emo culture is dead at this point, but I still will occasionally hear like
coming.
the high schoolers refer to people as being emo.
Let's get out of here.
But you don't really hear any impact from scene anymore, as far as I know.
I mean, I was in high school for the emo scene transition, but I did not hear about scene until after I was out of high school.
Darkness is flowing out.
Yeah, I feel like of the subcultures, it has had the least amount of impact.
More Heartless everywhere. The only way to stop them is
Seal the keyhole, right?
Maybe, but no one knows what will happen once it's sealed.
Well, we can't just stay here. We have to do something.
You know the
Friend back there.
the chart with the goth prep
One more friend to worry about.
popular goth prep nerd jock XY axis?
Right?
Just like that keyhole you saw.
So you know a goth jock hybrid is a punk.
Remained incomplete.
Right.
So what is a prep nerd hybrid? I think I've actually figured it out.
Hearts should have been freed. Don't worry, Sora. If anyone can save you,
I mean,
you
a
can.
prep with particularly good grades, I guess. I don't know. Preps had
A
bad
hips-
grades in the first place, but
A hipster.
yeah, no, okay, that does work.
So the opposite of a punk is a hipster, and I feel like that works too.
Yeah, no, I mean, if there's something about counterculture that, like the reason why I've never really liked the counterculture of the eras I actually live in, I think you could sum it up as saying it's got too much hipster and not enough punk.
Yep.
Kyrie reminding us of the contents of that cutscene we just watched because God knows you weren't paying attention.
I mean, I wasn't paying attention to what she said either. But we're alive again, it seems like, unless this is some sort of dream Sora's having.
Oh no, that bullshit doesn't come for another couple of games yet.
But it does come.
I mean, God, man, wait until we get to Chain of Memories. Well, really, Kingdom Hearts 2, I think, is where it gets full-on crazy.
I
But
mean,
Chain
I
of
am your
Memories, things start to go
conscience.
loopy.
I am your conscience, but I still don't think it's fair for you to do that to me.
I mean, I don't know who exactly you are. I am pretty certain you're not my conscience. On account of, for one thing, you seem to know a lot more about scene culture and e-boys and e-girls than I do.
Yeah, every conscience does. Who else would I be?
I mean, someone with some kind of teaching position at a high school, I hope. The alternative is that the consciences of 28-year-old men go hang out at high schools all the time, which does not seem like conscience-like behavior to me. But, yes. Sora just loved his friends too much to attack them, even in his heartless form. Kairi was able to recognize him. She gave him a hug, and the light in his heart triumphed.
So
But-
we won the game, and this is the after game, right?
No, we still have to go and seal the keyhole of ultimate darkness that got opened up when Kairi had her heart restored. Because that was like the stupidest heroic sacrifice ever that Sora did there. Just as an FYI. Oh god, okay, now how do I get back into Hall Bastion? Let's go talk to everyone at the house, see if that helps. But yeah, the keyhole to ultimate darkness they were trying to open up has been successfully opened up. They needed all 7 Princesses of Heart, and they had all of them physically, but Kairi needed to have her heart for it to work. So yeah, we ran away from, like, big adult form Ansem there. So he is now in charge of Unlimited Heartless. And we got to go do something about that before we can roll credits. He's still got our friend Riku, so you know.
I mean, are we really friends at this point?
I mean, more so than we are with Kairi. Like, you're really gonna try and convince me that, like, because we got Kairi back, we should just say, yeah, that's good enough? That's the part of this power trio that was doing the real legwork here? The Sora-Kairi relationship?
I mean, the focus of the game has always been the Kairi-Riku relationship.
Yes, definitely that one. But yeah, no, we have to go get Riku back and confess our feelings to him.
Oh, right.
You know, we know this whole rivalry has just been, you know, a pair of immature teenagers who... Okay, you're repeating yourself.
So are we going to break up
a
with
bunch of
Goofy?
immature teenagers who don't know how to process their feelings properly.
Are we going to break up with Goofy?
I mean, obviously. What do you mean you're not sure why the Heartless are getting stronger? It's a major plot point. She isn't paying attention either. I'll bet you he is waiting at Hollow Bastion. Does anyone want to tell me how to get there? Alright, I'm gonna go talk to Sid. I think I might have a navigation gummy that he can... So this isn't Sid's house? That's right, it's over there. Okay. So we've got some dumb little fetch quest to go on real quick. It's, there is a scene, if I'm remembering the order of events right, there is a scene in the waterway here that we're about to get into that does do some, like, actual work for the plot here, so it needs to happen. But it could have happened in the house that we just, got done with.
All these events seem separated for the purpose of being separated. Like, there's no reason to have to do this.
Yeah. And Traverse Town in general seems to have a problem with that, where, you know, it seems like there's a bunch of busy work and side quests in between two events that really could have just happened right next to each other. Like, I can't remember if we talked about it while recording or not, but we talked about before how Kingdom Hearts needed space between the destruction of Destiny Islands and when Sora and Riku first encounter each other again, and Riku feels like he's been replaced. We need some space for Sora, Donald, and Goofy to be, like, friends, not just people who have just barely met. And we need some space for Riku to have met Maleficent in secret.
Usually,
But then,
like, use a plot coupons for that. Like, have some sort of plot coupon that's scattered across the worlds that you're trying to collect.
right, and you know, Wonderland was
Elemental
okay, but then
crystals
Deep
or
Jungle
something.
and Olympus Coliseum as a Coliseum minigame is actually pretty good. But Olympus Coliseum in its plot section, you know, when you first get to it, is not that great. Deep Jungle is not that great. The weakest parts of the game are in there, which, that's the best place to put them. It's after the opening. It is far from the end, which leaves your final impression.
Your grandma's story.
And you can't cut them because you need that space.
We were together.
So, you know,
You know what's funny?
granted that there wasn't enough time or budget left to actually fix them, they did the right thing there.
Finally, we're together, Kyrie.
But this cutscene could have happened immediately after fleeing Hollow Bastion. There was no reason to send us running around Traverse Town for like 5-10 minutes.
Will it be the same again between us? Riku's lost his...
When I turned into a Heartless, you saved me, remember? I was lost in the darkness. I couldn't find my way. As I
Their
stumbled
faces are
through
pretty consistently in the uncanny valley when they're talking.
friends who I was. The darkness.
Yeah, the Final Mix and the HD Remix 1.5 both fixed it,
Your voice.
but
You brought me back.
emulating the PS3 is hard, so...
What about you, Sora? I couldn't.
That's it. Our hearts are connected. And the
We
light
never
from
ate the
our
Palpu
hearts
fruit, though.
broke through the darkness. I saw that light. I think that's what saved me. No matter how deep the darkness, a light shines within. I guess it's more than just a fairy tale.
Well, let's go.
It's more than just a fairy tale.
Why not?
It's an anime. Because you're a
Way too
girl.
dangerous.
Come on, Sora. We made it this far by...
Is he staring at her chest? What's going
Yeah,
on?
like,
We can't go alone.
That was weird.
Even if we're apart, we're not alone anymore, right?
I can't help.
You'd kind of be in my way.
oh my god.
You win.
No, we can switch Donald out of the party. That'd be fine.
Yeah, like Mike, you're hard pressed to be more useless than
My
Donald.
lucky charm. Be sure to bring it back to me.
Don't worry, I will.
Oh, did we get a Kyrie Keyblade now?
Promise?
We do.
Promise.
Is it better than the Cloud Keyblade?
I will have to check.
Wherever you go, I'm always with you.
I think it is, not because it has higher attack power, but because it's more balanced. The Cloud Keyblade has limits my mana a little bit, which gives me less healing.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, the Oath Keeper is only 1 strength point down instead of 2. But it actually increases my magical power. So,
Is that the final Keyblade?
it is not.
Oh.
For starters, there's if you do all the crafting, which we're not going to do because it takes forever, but there is an Ultima Keyblade, which is the Keyblade for the Mughals, I guess? It's a very gameplay-driven, you know, secret infinity +1 sword kind of Keyblade, so... It's the only one where there's really no clear character it's attached to. The Alice in Wonderland Keyblade is a little bit up in the air. Like, I guess it's Alice's, maybe the Queen of Hearts, something. This isn't what I wanted. But we also have a Riku Keyblade we have to go and fetch.
Oh. After we kiss him, right?
That scene doesn't come until Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oh.
See, you're invested now. You got to play through at least that far to the third game in the series, Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oof. I think I'll just stick with the fan fiction.
Probably for the best. They do a lot more than just kiss in those.
Oh boy.
But yeah, whenever Sora or one of the other Soras, because Sora is other people almost as often as Xehanort is. But typically, whenever Sora or another non-Sora is dual-wielding Keyblades, the sort of canonical combination will be Oathkeeper and Oblivion is the name of Riku's. I mean, not the name of the Keyblade that Riku actually wields, but the name of Sora's Keyblade that symbolizes his friendship with Riku.
I mean, we were just talking about emo kids.
And I mean, you know, this was in the middle of it. This was during that culture, so it's like a 2004 game or something. It's just a couple of years before peak emo, and certainly long after goth had faded in favor of it. I gotta go talk to Sid and get him to install this thing.
Now it's 2020, and the lead singer of My Chemical Romance writes superhero comic books.
Really?
Yeah, he wrote the Umbrella Academy. I think they did a reunion tour recently. Not like recently, like before Apocalypse recently.
Right. Golly. Do you think that the weird wormhole that opened up might lead to the place that we asked Sid to give us a wormhole to?
Probably not.
The weird thing is that this little fast travel thing makes a lot of sense in a world that doesn't have a warp ability, right? Like if you just had to go through one of these levels literally every time. Which makes me suspect that there was a stage, there was a point in the production of Kingdom Hearts where you had to do that, and then they realized that even with a bunch of warp portals to provide shortcuts, this was pretty excruciating. So they threw in the warp gummies that took you directly to any world you've already been to.
People complain about fast travel in Oblivion and Skyrim, but like actually having to walk around to places in Morrowind was kind of excruciating.
Yeah, the best way to do it, and Oblivion and Skyrim skip over this, is fast travel points should have to be unlocked by walking there the first time, which is how Kingdom Hearts functions once you have the warp unlocked, which should have been immediately. It should have just been a function of the gummy ship, but instead it takes until the end of the first cluster of worlds, so that was annoying. But yeah, that's the best way to do it, is once you've been to a place, you can teleport there instantly. The only exception I'll make for this is in games where moving around is like a major part of gameplay. I don't think the Infamous games have any fast travel points, and that's fine. If they did have fast travel points, I never used them. Spider-Man games almost never have fast travel points. And again, you know, that's fine. Web swinging is fun, or at least it is if they're doing it right. And the Assassin's Creed games usually have fast travel points, but I don't use them because moving around in those games is fun, or if it's not, then the game is bad.
I mean, and those are 3 games that I've never played, so I can make no comment.
I mean, I was gonna point out that you're supposed to be my conscience, but I guess all 3 of those games were games that I had played, you know, after I thought I had done away with you, which, by the way, you're clearly not my conscience, just in general. By the way, even if that particular bit, you know, you've got a cover story for that specific problem. I don't know who you are.
I'm your
but-
conscience. I don't play video games. I'm just sort of part of you.
Yeah, but should you not be watching the video games over my shoulder? Or do you just, you know, only show up once every couple of years? That would explain a lot.
Only when you've done something particularly heinous.
So this place is supposed to be totally overrun with Heartless, but fun fact, like, you know, as we're going to see in a bit, the Princesses of Heart are just, like, hanging out.
Yeah, why didn't they go back to their home worlds? At least the ones who have their home worlds still around. Like,
Well, I mean, for
when
starters,
did Jasmine
The
go back to
majority of them do
Agrabah?
not.
But Jasmine could just go back to Agrabah. And Alice could just go back to the real world, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, like... Because Alice and Jane Porter are both presumably from, you know, the clock tower part of Neverland, I guess? Like, granted, Alice is actually from a couple of decades off from that, but...
I mean, time travel comes into these games at some point, right?
Sort of.
Sort of.
It's never like step into a time machine kind of time travel. But you know, it's sort of like a Rick and Morty style. We're going to techno-babble our way into having a time travel story while technically not calling it time travel.
Oh, Lord.
It's mostly a lot of stuff to do with memories.
The memory is just a dream of the past that your heart makes. So it's not really time travel, even when you go back to the past, and it does alter the future.
Yeah, trying to remember... I believe in Kingdom Hearts Coded, you are a data upload version of Sora in like a data archive of his adventures, except someone has corrupted the adventures so that events played out differently and like the bad guys win, and so you have to fix them by solving block puzzles. Yeah, Hollow Bastion is now even more full of Heartless. Alright, there you are. Okay, I'm still a couple of levels below. I reckon about 55-ish is pretty good for end bosses if, you know, you don't want to have to try. And I'm still a couple of levels below that. I could take on the end bosses right now, probably. But it'd have to be another thing where I would have to stop commenting and focus.
And I would just have to babble for a couple minutes.
Which, I mean, it worked.
We could summon the ghost of Sigmund Freud.
I was a little bit disappointed that you never really got into the Freudianism of that.
I mean, like, I feel like it is obvious.
On the one hand, yes.
He even got metaphorically castrated at one point. He lost the Keyblade. To his male rival, who is possessed by the spirit of an older man. I feel like there's anything to analyze. It analyzes itself.
Freud is a comedy routine. That's, you say he does good literary criticism, but thinks he's doing psychoanalysis, thinks he's doing psychology. I say he's doing good stand-up.
A joke I saw on Tumblr was, every time you call your boyfriend daddy, the ghost of Sigmund Freud gets a little stronger.
This whole reclimb of Hollow Bastion was pretty unnecessary, too.
Yeah, I think there was one of those early Final Fantasy games where, like, the end is just going through all the same dungeons again with, like, a higher level.
I know Castlevania Symphony of the Night did that. You could get a fake ending by just defeating what is actually the game's middle boss. But if you have the correct item and defeat the boss in the correct way, it unlocks the second half of the game, which is just the entire first half of the game, but upside down with harder monsters. That stutter was terrifying. But we are still recording. Are you still here? Am I alone?
I am.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of whether to... I don't know how much time we have left in the episode, so I don't know whether to introduce a new topic or not.
I mean, we've got like 5 minutes, so...
Okay, I'll leave that for next episode then. I invite our listener to ruminate on the Freudian subtext of Kingdom Hearts. I wonder if they will make Kingdom Hearts 4.
They're already working on it.
They are? I thought Kingdom Hearts 3 ended it.
Kingdom Hearts 3 was sort of the Avengers Endgame of the series.
Oh.
It tied up a ton of dangling plot threads. It brought together basically every character in the series so far. And it finished the plotline with Xehanort. Which had been something the confrontation with Xehanort was something they were building up to since Kingdom Hearts 2, which was the third game in the series, and didn't resolve until Kingdom Hearts 3, which was the seventh. Depending on exactly how you count it. But,
So when does Thanos show up?
I mean, Disney has the rights, so...
I'm waiting. It's gonna happen. And like Kingdom Hearts 3 featured Big Hero 6.
Yeah, I mean, there is no particular reason besides sanity that Marvel and Star Wars can't show up in Kingdom Hearts, and sanity did not prevent them from adding Pirates of the Caribbean, so...
And Tron, don't forget Tron. They own the rights to the Muppets, too. I'm sure the Muppets are going to show up at some point.
I honestly, that one kind of works. Like, you know, Donald and Goofy have been in here since day one.
You could have Miss Piggy in your party.
And
Kermit the
as long as
Frog
it's
is
not Donald.
clearly... Kermit the Frog is clearly a Princess of Heart, right? He's so pure-hearted.
Well, I mean, all 7 are accounted for, but he does kill and replace Snow White. So, the Princesses of Heart are providing some
Darkness
kind of ambiguous
is pouring out of the
barrier.
keyhole. The keyhole, which is associated with these 7 princesses. I feel the ghost of Sigmund Freud overcoming me. You need to wrap up the episode quick.